call the meeting to order.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. As the Chairman introduced, we are giving you an overview of the programs and the budget associated with community services. This is some of our ongoing work sessions that we are conducting in support of our budget process this year. And with that, I will turn it over to Jeff Caton, who is the Executive Director of Community Services.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to have this time to present. I think in the 2.5 years that I have been with you, this is the first opportunity we've had to share a little bit about community service. So we're excited to offer up some information today, and we'll give you plenty of opportunity to ask questions at the end. But if you'd like to ask questions as we go through the presentation, we'd be more than happy to answer those as we do. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through I'm going to go through a quick overview for you just to share with you how this is going to unfold. And we'll start out with first who we are. Then we're going to go through the 4 divisions that make up community services, being Cooperative Extension, Soil and Water Conservation District, Library, Parks and Recreation. Then we're going to give you some insight into where we're going, the direction that we're headed in, and then finally why it's important, why that matters, what we do matters, and why where we're going matters. So we're going to start off right now just giving you who we are, and we're going to talk about our mission statement. I'm not going to read this to you because I know y'all can read, and we don't need to go through this specifically, but I'm sure you've probably seen this in various documents of our mission or vision statement. But we're about quality of life for the community, and that's what we want to focus on in the services that we offer and making Union County the best that we can through the services that we offer. And that's our vision, that we want to provide our residents with increased opportunity to pursue a life of physical, intellectual, and economic success, and hopefully that will make sense to you as we go through this presentation. Our customers, as we see them, as our external customers that are represented both by our residents and the guests that use our facilities and our services, certainly with Parks and Recreation, Library facilities especially, that we have a number of people from outside the county that use our facilities as well. So we include them as our external customers, and our internal customers. As we go through the presentation, you'll be able to see that there are a number of county staff and community groups that we also support when they need help from us. Just a quick high-level financial overview for us. You'll see that community services represents about 5.5% of the total county budget. And of that 5%, the breakdown with regard to how that money is spent, about 58% goes to our library operation, 22% approximately goes to our Parks and Recreation programs. Cooperative Extension uses about 18%, and our Soil and Water Conservation District receives about 1.5% of the total funding of that 5%. Our organizational chart, again, high level. We report directly to the county manager as one of 8, I believe, service areas, and those 4 areas make up community services, again, Parks, Recreation, Library, Cooperative Extension, and Soil and Water Conservation. These are the faces that go with the names. You'll notice our Cooperative Extension is a incomplete face. That position is vacant. It has been vacant now for about 9 months. We have been working with NC State University, who this position reports to. We now have and have had for some time now, a recruiter from NC State that is helping us work through that candidate pool. It is a very shallow pool. It's very difficult to find this position, to find someone who's experienced, who understands the program, because Union County has a very diverse and very sophisticated cooperative extension program. So we want to make sure that we get the right candidate in place, and we have gone outside of North Carolina even to look for candidates, and we're still in that process, but our folks at NC State recognize the need that we have. We've been very aggressive through that recruiter. Also, you'll see our staff that are here with us today. They will be the ones presenting. Richard Melton is pitch hitting for our Cooperative Extension program. Y'all may remember Richard. Richard actually has come back to Union County to help us with our livestock services as well as our row crop services, and is probably our most experienced person that we have down there. So he's very knowledgeable about things that we're going to present today. Richard, I can't blame you for what's going to be presented, but Richard knows what he needs to know about the program, and I'm going to bring him forward now. We can move into our Cooperative Extension part of the briefing.
Okay. Jeff, can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Back on your budget slide, the 18% for Cooperative Extension, is the Ag Center a part of that 18%? Meaning the back of the Ag Center, so to speak? The events
rental
center. Yep.
is, yes, from a budget standpoint. It is part of that.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir. Let me get you back up.
Okay. Just keep going right. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I appreciate this opportunity to talk about cooperative extension here in Union County. It's been about 4 years, I guess, since I've been actively involved with it up until the last 2 weeks when I've come back to serve in an interim role as a crops agent and livestock agent for Union and Anson County. So my 20 hours a week is split between those two. So I guess you get what you pay for. Just a little bit about cooperative extension. I know Jerry knows the history, and I'm sure some of y'all have been involved before. But we're engaged in all segments, all parts of life here in Union County and where we are across the state. It is a cooperative effort between each county and North Carolina A&T State University and North Carolina State University. Those roles. You can see kind of what our mission is there. Those words have changed. I worked with Extension for 32 years, and Jerry went even longer, I think, with Extension, and the mission changes, the statement changes, but the goal is we help people improve their quality of lives is the overall goal. It's a partnership between the two universities and the county government that we have in place. You can see what the way it's set up with administration. That's a pretty good T right there. A lot of folks answer to basically one person in the end, the county extension director, who fills that role here in Union County. Hopefully they will get that position filled shortly, and we can go on to bigger and better things with cooperative extension. If we start to look at kind of the budget and how cooperative extension impacts the budget of Union County, one of the bigger areas when we take away the event center in the back of the building out there at the Ag Center would be our salaries line. Whenever we start looking at those folks, you can see the color coding there. I would like to point out that in a few of those we do have funds come from other sources that we actually bring in besides the state and the county funding. If you look at our F&F position, Expanded Foods, Nutrition, Education Program agent, part of that's paid by the county, and then part of it is actually comes through North Carolina A&T University for a nutrition educator. She works with limited resource folks. If we fall down to our, it says AN&R, that was originally our local foods coordinator. That position has been redefined and redeveloped so that we're going to have an area farm management agent that's going to work, again, using funding from North Carolina A&T and also the participating counties. There are 3 counties that provide funding for that. Anson and Stanley are the other 2 and the 3 in the partnership. Then if we drop down to our urban forester, see his salary listed there. Again, the other out there is what the participating municipalities contribute to his salary, and those are the ones that he works with on the tree ordinances, keeping those up to date and dealing with those in particular. But that's kind of the salary breakdown if you look overall. Just to put faces with names and positions, if we go through and look at present, the interim CED is the district director that serves as part of North Carolina for cooperative extension. Then we've got Halen Appear, who's our family and consumer science agent. We'll talk a little bit about her program as we go through. We'll kind of hit all these programs as we go through. Debbie Dillion, who's our horticultural extension agent. Sherry Bennett, who's our F&F program assistant. We've got the row crop extension, and that's livestock as well, that I'm filling in at present. I guess, redefined position we have is our area specialized agent farm management. Aaron's going to actually start later on, so within next month, I think the 1st is when he's actually supposed to start. So he'll be working with limited resource farmers, smaller farmers, to work with them on marketing, business plans, production practices that fit their operations. Then we've got Crystal Starks, who's our Extension 4-H agent. We've got, she has a program assistant that works with her. That position is open, so we've got some empty offices. Actually, a few of them have been playing office carousel out there, swapping offices here in the last few weeks. Then Bill Smith is our urban forester. Richard Goforth is our area poultry extension agent. His position has changed a little bit. Whenever Jerry and I were director, he served about 7 counties. That position now serves 17 counties in North Carolina. They've gone from about 6 area poultry agents to 3. So then Dana Braswell and then Nancy Mandeville are our support staff that work there. 2 new folks with their facilities are Emily Clark and Shannon Brown. They're event coordinators. They work with handling rental of the Ag Center and setting up questions, help to manage it while they're there. Our farmers market folks report to Extension as well. Our local foods market coordinator, we've actually offered and
Doing the paperwork.
Right now, clearing all the hurdles as far as that position goes. And then we've got a part-time position that will help with the reporting with the SNAP program and some of the nutrition programs, particularly on Saturdays when they get such high traffic day. To talk about our program area, so horticulture is a huge program area here in Union County. DMV does a great job working with consumer horticulture as well as the commercial horticulture business. And really, folks don't think about a lot of times how big the greenhouse nursery turf industry is in this county, but we're traditionally one of the largest counties in North Carolina for those projects. So she spends a lot of time with them. You can kind of see what she does whenever we look through. One thing I always like to highlight with our horticulture program are our master gardeners. A tremendous organization. Those folks go through many hours of training, educational training, to help assist the agent do disease and insect identification. So they help to stretch that agent a little bit. Last year she had about 90 volunteers who contributed. You can see that number, over 5,000 volunteer hours. That's a lot of extra benefit they would get from that one person actually doing the training. She's also very active in, obviously, phone calls, emails, walk-ins, and she also serves with the E-Extension, which is the National Extension Ask an Expert program. Gets multiple questions on the internet about what's this disease look like, what's going on with this plant, that type of stuff, and she is recognized as an expert in that area. Another area is our family and consumer science area. This area really does a lot to focus on food safety. That's really the program area that Haley follows. Last year she did a lot of work with the North Carolina Safe Plates program. Actually had 41 folks that go through the training program, and 35 of them actually passed the exam. Whenever I retired, we were still dealing with ServSafe, and all of that has changed now, and so she handles this North Carolina Safe Plates program. Another area she's really focused on is working with nonprofits. All the churches and nonprofits that have their food fundraisers, they don't have opportunities for food safety training really from other sources. And so last year she spent a lot of time with them and actually trained about 30 folks to do that. And I guess it goes across all extension areas, you typically always see a youth programming component whenever an agent is working, whether it's family and consumer science or agriculture, and you can see some of the program areas that she focused on with young folks as well. So a lot of time spent in that area, but really a focus on food safety across the board whenever we look at it. When we start thinking about agriculture and Union County go hand in hand. I don't know how many of you have ever heard the numbers or really seen them, but consistently Union County ranks as the 3rd largest ag county in the state of North Carolina. Now, a lot of folks find that hard to believe. 20-some odd miles from the intersection of Trade and Tryon in Charlotte, and yet we have the 3rd largest ag economy in this community. Poultry plays a big role in that, but row crops as well. We consistently rank 1 or 2 in small grain or soybean production in this state. Year in, year out, we're going to produce bushels. A lot of it's driven by our poultry industry, which uses a lot of the grain crops. But over the years, we spend a lot of time with the field demonstrations. That but it's experiential learning. Let folks see it and they learn how to do it. Try to improve management techniques. Last year we had over 19 demonstration tests. Now, if any of you ever want an opportunity to wear a spray suit and a mask and walk around in 100-degree weather spraying test plots, just let us know. We can line those up for you. And those 19 plots were a lot of work, I can guarantee you. Had over 112 producers actually provided survey information to us that said that they had either increased profits or decreased the cost of production. And those numbers can get significant when you start looking at the total acreages that we handle here in Union County. Last year, roughly $480 million in ag income from this state. You start putting a multiplier effect on that number, it gets to be a huge economic impact. The other good thing is, consistently, we rank somewhere in the 90s in the U.S. as far as overall U.S. agricultural production. So that's out of 3,020 some odd parishes or other counties in the United States. So those, it just emphasizes to me the fact of the numbers and what they mean. Poultry is the big driver in our livestock industry, or our ag industry here. Of the $400 and some odd million, about $380 million of that is actually poultry dollars. And that's important. We consistently rank somewhere around 1 or 2 in broiler or layer production in this state. In the United States, the last published census, we ranked about 18th, I think, in broiler production in the country, and we ranked about 11th in turkey production. I think I've got those numbers right. I may have them flipped, but we're big producers. As a result of that big production too, you can see that we produce lots of, I think the term is organic byproducts. And yeah, we use a lot of that, and because of that, we do cheapen fertilizer costs. We have a way to recover the nutrients in those products by using them on crops. So we convert that waste product into a benefit. Extension plays a major role in helping folks do waste management plans to protect water quality and protect the environment when they do that. So another important phase, as I said, Richard at this point in time is serving 17 counties because of the changes in funding at the state level. So he plays a major role in trying to do that, and he's got a lot of them to do. Consistently, though, Union County ranks as probably the largest county of the 17 he works in. 4-H and youth development, another big traditional program, but the tradition has changed a little bit. We really focus today on bringing the information into the school systems and partnering with them. Last year we had over 157 teachers that were trained in 4-H STEM curriculum, that science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum. One thing we still try to include, though, is the fact that we help to promote agriculture to those kids in Union County. I think it was all the third graders in Union County. If it's not, we only missed 1 or 2 schools last year that participated in the Wake Up to Agriculture program. And I don't remember, how long has that one been going, Jerry? It's 30 years?
I came in '81 and it was like the next year, so
Yeah.
about 82 or 83 when it started.
But we partner with the high schools, the FFA programs, their low ag programs, and they actually do presentations on the Wake Up to Agriculture program. But we're getting educated, we're partnering and seeing partners. If you look at that STEM curriculum, one thing that I'm really happy with when we look at our numbers is we had over 4,000 children that documented that they increased their knowledge through STEM. Of that 4,000, 52% of them were young ladies. And that's getting young ladies involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. So 4-H is very active in doing those type things. Our expanded food and nutrition program, works with limited resource families. Again, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about food safety. We're trying to get that into those homes, getting them to recognize the value of doing those things, even recognizing the value of exercise as well. But a very successful program, I think, from our perspective. Sherry is the only bilingual agent or staff person we have, she serves a Hispanic community as well in this program. Then our urban forester, Bill has been on, I guess he's the second urban forester. I think you hired the first one, Jerry, and then Bill's our second one in line, working with the municipalities on their tree ordinances, on developing tree plans, strategic management plans, working with hazardous trees, identifying those. He is a certified arborist to be able to do those as well. Just in 2017, if you want to see a phone and an internet email connection that runs fast, all you got to do is check Bill's office. He's always on the phone with somebody calling, an individual calling about a tree, or a municipality wanting to look at a tree ordinance or a city plan or urban development plan, a subdivision plan. But does a lot of that. Again, it's got some youth component as well, and that's one thing as extension agents that we really try to promote. Then our newer position, our area specialized farm management agent, as I said, hopefully he's going to get in and get up and running and work with those smaller limited resource producers. When we think about the Ag Center, everybody thinks about the big part of it in the back. That's the one that all folks tend to remember, and we have way more outreach in the community because there's people that have no clue that Extension or Soil and Water or FSA or anybody's up in front of that building. They just know they've been to a party of some kind in the back of it. But 2017, about 174 events were hosted, generated about $44,000 in actual income from those events. That's not total building rental, that's just rental of the event center in the back. Farmers market, another important part of what we do with our managers and that type of stuff. Again, the idea of trying to get fresh food to people, healthy food to folks. This farmers market changed a little bit in 2011, and then again in 2014 it was launched as a local foods only market. So if you're within 15 miles of the border of either Union, Anson, and Stanley counties, you can participate in sales at the market. I grow a little bit of stuff in South Carolina, and I can even qualify, they tell me. I haven't sold them yet, anything yet, but that's what they say. But it's important. We do have the participation in the federal and the state nutrition programs. We have that available. Actually, the information showed that we have actually impacted a large percentage. We're typically either fourth or fifth in the number of dollars that come through those programs in the state of North Carolina. Just a little pat on the back for our professionals that are on staff. I will tell you, there are really only, I think there's 3 out there that were there whenever I was there. So it's all you, I'm learning all the faces just like you saw on the screen there. But a strong, very professional staff. If you look at some of the awards and recognitions, a lot of these are through professional organizations. And I think that just echoes just how good they really are. So I've always been proud of the staff in Union County and the job they did. And even though these folks are newer folks, they're doing a great job based off of those kind of recognitions. Okay, with that, Alan Aldridge with Soil and Water Conservation will come and talk with you.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all for letting us come talk tonight. So I'm going to talk about the Soil and Water Conservation District. So our mission statement and our vision statement are here. What the Soil and Water Conservation District does is we work with landowners and farmers to deal with technical, financial, and educational assistance for the lands of Union County and the water resources. And again, the vision statement mirrors our mission statement. So we are governed by a board of supervisors. Our chair is Alan Balcom. Our vice chair is Wayne Moser. He was the director for a number of years, 6 or 7 years ago. Our treasurer is Eddie State, and Jerry Davis and Adam Moore are board members. There are 3 elected positions on the board, and all of them are farmers. They range from poultry farmers, livestock farmers, produce farmers, and row crop farmers. So our staff is made up of 2 people, the director position and the education position. The director position responsible for the day-to-day operation of the district, as well as overseeing the technical and financial programs of the district. The education position which Chelsea oversees. She does the educational outreach and environmental awareness for the district. We'll talk more about those later. So this is the staff certification. This is Chelsea's certifications. She has been with the district for only a year, and well, a year next week. And she is an environmental educator, and she done this with getting over 200 credit hours of continuing education, going to workshops, which she had done a lot of it before she got here, and also doing a community service project. And the project, she made wildlife boxes, aquatic boxes, forestry boxes, and what am I forgetting? Forestry, wildlife, aquatic, and a soils box for teachers to check out. So it has programs in it, and it has, like the wildlife box, it will have skulls in it, but furs and a lot of educational materials they can check out. And the Envirothon teams, which we'll talk about later, can check those out and use also. She's also a facilitator certified for a number of workshops, and also she has been accepted into the Master Naturals program. And it's a 12-week program that she'll be participating in the next few weeks. And she just last week was recruited to serve on the National Envirothon Core Committee, and she'll be going out to Idaho to shadow since the National Envirothon is coming to North Carolina next year. So that's real proud of her for that. So some historical things about the district. Union County was part of the nation's first soil and water conservation district, the Brown Creek Soil and Water District, in 1937. It started out in the southeastern portion of Union County, running up towards Ansonville. In 47, it encompassed 5 counties: Union, Anson, Stanley, Montgomery, and Richmond. And today, Brown Creek is the Anson County Soil and Water Conservation District. But in the 60s and 70s, they all broke apart and went to be county funded. Fact about the district is, with partnership with NRCS, it helped design the Cane Creek Lake Dam. Some recent history. So we've had a lot of staffing change in the past few years. I think I'm the 3rd one in 5 years. We just now got our education specialist position back in 2014. The district staff was 10 to 15 years ago, so we're up to 2 now. We have acquired last year a 5-foot and a 8-foot no-till drill. The 8-foot drill was purchased with proceeds from the previous 5-foot drill, and the new 5-foot drill, we received a grant, so we only had to pay around $800 for that new drill. So we have 3 drills that landowners can check out and use. We have a construction of the Master Gardeners and Soil and Water building. That building actually helped us get that grant because it can be stored inside, so it ranked higher on the grant process. Chelsea is in development of the Envirothon program. We haven't had an Envirothon team in years, so we're very proud to have that. We're offering professional development workshops for educators now, and we are seeing a very big increase in the demand for education since she has started. So, technical assistance. So this is the portion that I deal with on a day-to-day basis with the district. And we help landowners with BMPs, best management practices, nutrient planning, soil conservation through land management, soil sample interpretation, GIS and soil mapping. As I said earlier, we ran a 2 5-foots and an 8-foot drill. And we have workshops and technical trainings. So we have financial assistance with the district. We have 3 core programs. We have the Ag Cost Share program, the Ag Wrap program, and the Community Conservation program. The AgRap program is for a water quality on farms to enhance water quality on farming operations. In the past 3 years, we've had the top 3 allocations in the state, with last year getting the number 1 allocation. We had around $93,000. This year, we got a little over $80,000 in ag cost share, and we have utilized that on 2 litter sheds, a dry stack, a litter spreader, and a livestock exclusion practice. And we're expecting to get a little bit more money in a second allocation. The ag water, and let me go back to that. The BMPs that we normally cost share on in the county are litter sheds, incinerators, cropland conversion to grass and trees, livestock exclusion. Those are the main 5 that we deal with. So then we have the Agricultural Water Resources Program, AgRap. We got around $10,000 this year for that. The practices that and it's a water quantity program. So Union County, we've done pond sediment removals for livestock operations, and irrigation wells for produce and row crop applications. And we have been getting a ton of irrigation well applications in the past few years. Then we have the Community Conservation Assistance Program. And this program, we used to get a pot of money each year, but now it has went to a regional ranking with the state. This year, this is our stormwater program that you can use in urban settings. So we had 1 application for a stream bank restoration in a subdivision. When they built the subdivision, they turned the pipe wrong and it was blowing out a yard. So it just didn't have enough length of creek disturbance to rank real high. But they did get free engineered from the division. We brought the engineers down. We surveyed the property, and we had a design made up for them. So even though they didn't get cost share, they got basically free engineered from the state. So then we go to the educational services that we offer. And this is where Chelsea comes in. So she is promoting essential standards and NAAEE aligned programming. She is offering it to public and private special purpose schools as well as parks and libraries. So on a given week, she's going, 3 to 4 days, she is out in classrooms, at the parks, at the libraries doing educational programs. She also oversees contests and workshops for students. So we have poster, essay, public speaking, and bookmark contest, and marathon coaching. And the resource conservation workshop is a scholarship supported program that the district sponsors. We sponsored 2 kids last year to go to Raleigh for a few days to learn about soil conservation, forestry, wildlife, aquatics. And she also does professional development for formal and non-formal educators. Like I said earlier, the Project Food, Land, People, Project Learning, Project WET are some of the workshops that she offers. So our county investment. So we have an operating budget of around $146,000. We fund 2 full-time positions. The director position is reimbursed $29,000 for his time spent on state programs. So I have to spend 1,040 hours on state programs a year, and we are reimbursed $29,000 for that. And like Jeff showed earlier, we're a little over 1% of the community services budget. And our operating expense is only $7,821. So we do all of this for our benefits package, but the operating expense for just less than $8,000. So here are some of our partnerships. Again, we work closely with the state. So the Division of Soil and Water, which is governed by the Soil and Water Conservation Commission. Chelsea deals a lot with the NC Environmental Education program through Diener. And the NC Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts, they are actually the foundation is where we receive the funding on the side of it right here for the no-till drill. But with that, I will let Jim come. No, Nina, sorry.
Alan, you might also mention that Forest Service and Farm Service Agency
Yes.
actually are housed there at the Ag Center
And-
and provide programs.
That's a great point. We work with the Farm Service Agency and NRCS. NRCS is our federal counterparts. So when we go out on the farm, we go out on the farm with NRCS a lot of times. If we can't fund them for a project, we try to promote NRCS's cost share programs. And again, FSA, they have cost share programs also. We work with them a lot. In the Forest Service, they write a lot of, when we do cropland conversion and other practices for tree planting, we work with them. It's a great group of people. We all work together. We work with Cooperative Extension, parks and libraries. It's one big family with that, but we're good. Okay.
Mike could pass that off.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to give you an overview of the libraries and explain a little bit about, I think, why we have a really awesome job and why we love what we do. So we just redid our mission and our vision statement within the last year. And we wanted to make something that was short, to the point, and something memorable. So we took our mission statement and designed our library card around it. So the image on the right is our actual adult library card. So we took the words explore, create, learn, since that was, to us, the most important part of what we're trying to do, and put it in front of the patrons so that our mission and vision statement aren't hidden somewhere, they're actually in front of people. And our vision statement, ultimately we want to be the community's trusted resource for creating culture of learning and innovation by focusing on the individual experience. And we're doing that not just through the way that we interact with the public, but the way we're designing our facilities and also the way we think about programming. So a little bit about our funding. We are the biggest piece of the pie for community services, and pretty much 93% of our funding is from local tax dollars. We get a small amount of money from the state in the form of state aid to public libraries, and we take in some revenue for lost books and fines and copies and things like that. But the bulk of what funds us is local tax dollars. Here are our 4 facilities as they stand today. We've had libraries in the county since 1930. The first Union County Public Library was a small room in the historic courthouse. And then they moved to a small house, and then they moved to the building that we're in now in the early 60s. So the main libraries had about 3 iterations, and then the Waxhaw Library was the second library that joined, and then Marshville, and then ultimately Indian Trail. And we are going to be replacing the Waxhaw Library since it's grossly inadequate. It's only about 2,900 square feet since the bond was approved and passed. So we're excited about that project. And we just renovated the main library. And I know Commissioner Simpson came to the preview, but I wasn't sure if the rest of you got to see it yet. So I wanted to show you what the newly designed library looks like from a little bit above the stacks. So this is the main part of the library where there used to be tables and there used to be computers. And now we put all the book stacks out from underneath the low-lying ceilings and put them in the middle. So it made things a lot more open, a lot more inviting, and people have asked us, did you add square footage, did you add space? It just seems so much more open. And no, we took what we had and we just laid everything out differently. So the public have been pretty receptive of the new space. A little bit about how we're organized. We've got 3 supporting boards. We've got the Library Board of Trustees, which you guys appoint. Then we have the Library Foundation and the Friends of the Library, both 501c3s. And the Library Foundation exists solely to fund capital projects, so they help us. So when we're going to build a new library, they'll help us with some fundraising. The Friends of the Library, they exist solely to give us money to do programming. And the programming typically is our summer reading program. So they give us our funding for all of the paid presenters we have come in, and then all the prizes of the books that we give away to the kids at the end of the summer. We have 71 staff members, full-time, part-time. I think our total FTEs are 55.04, if I'm correct. And then of that staff, there's only 10 of us that are actually librarians. So the library director and then the assistant library director, we divide the professional staff amongst the 2 of us, so who reports to us. And just to give you a little bit of faces with some names, everybody here is responsible for overseeing some aspect of library services across the system. So these ladies are all housed in Monroe. However, we're all doing things for the whole entire system. So whether it's children's services or adult services, technical services in the library world has nothing to do with technology. It's how we catalog the books. So the technical services coordinator, she's basically overseeing all the purchasing and receiving of all the new materials. And then circulation, she handles all the check-in and check-out, all those procedures, policies that go along with it. And then juvenile services is obviously for children. And Lindsay, who's here with us today, she handles all of the budget. She handles us making sure all the expenditures are spent like they should be. She's the liaison for the forensic library, and she handles all of our digital, our print publicity, social media, things like that. And then we have our branch managers on the bottom. So they're basically running the libraries in Waxhaw, Marshville, and Union West. Our local history librarian is Patricia. She's housed at the main library, and she's responsible for curating all of local history. And she teaches classes, helps you with your own genealogical research if needed. Our new position that we got this fiscal year, which we're really excited about, is our community engagement librarian. And her sole focus is to help us maintain and manage all the partnerships that we have. And then to get us more active in the community, because we don't exist within the four walls of the library. We don't only focus on those four walls. We try to get out and about to the community as much as we can. And we had so many partnerships, so many engagements that we needed one person who could help correlate or help collaborate all of that, especially with the school system partnership, and that is her job. So those are the people, and so these are the services that everybody is basically offering. They're all centered around these 5 things. We do a lot with literacy, but not just from the standpoint of learning to read, but being literate in information and in technology. So early literacy is big business for us. A lot of what we do centers around little kids and getting them ready to read. So one of our big programs is Pause a While to Read, which is basically reading to a therapy dog. So it takes out the judgment of trying to learn to read, since the dog is just sitting there quietly, and the kids love to come in and sit and read with them. So it's a big program we do in all of our facilities. We have a new program we just started in August called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And the idea is that a child reads 1,000 books before they go to kindergarten. And we have 300 participants so far. We've only been doing it for 6 months. And I think we've had 1 already completed. So that's exciting. But you think about 1,000 books, that's a lot of books to read in a very short amount of time. We have a lot of technology too for the kids. We've got smart tables, we have early literacy computers, and then we have regular internet computers too. So the kids are able to do all of those things in any of the libraries as well. And last but not least is story time. We do 16 story times a week in all 4 of our facilities. We have to do them on multiple days, the same thing twice, because of the sheer volume of kids that show up each time. And as you can see from the quote on the screen, it's something that the parents enjoy, and the staff loves doing it as well. So story time's big for us as well. Information literacy, there's a lot of information out there nowadays. You can Google anything you want and get an answer, but is it a good answer? Is it one that you actually would trust and actually use? So we try to teach people how to search and find results that are things that they really want to use. So one of the ways that we do that is we have access to NC Live. All public libraries do. It's free. It's paid for by the state. And basically it's a shopping mall of databases. So you can pick to learn a new language if you'd like, or you can look at why your check engine light's on in your car. So there's a lot of different choice out there, and there's something for all ages as well. So we drive a lot of people there. We purchase our own databases as well to supplement what's not found there. And then we have print materials. Libraries still going to have books. Even though people like to download ebooks, they still like the physical book as well, myself included. We also do prescribed pages, which is a personalized reading recommendations. So if you tell us the last couple of books you've read and you're looking for something new to read, we will find something based off of your reading preferences. And typically we're pretty good about our what we offer. So the 2 quotes on the screen are about that program itself. So we have a whole team of people who, when you submit these forms, they take them and they go try to find books that would be applicable to you based off your age. Because we'll do it for children and adults. Like I said, we do a lot of research and we answer a lot of questions. We also do a lot in the technology world. We teach free computer classes, both inside the library and out. We just started partnering with the Senior Center to teach them some computer classes. But we teach things like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but then we teach social media, and then we teach photo editing, or we will teach how to get started on the internet, how to create an email, basic computer skills that not everybody has, but people assume that you do, because a lot of those skills are required nowadays to find a job, and that's where a lot of the demand came from, so we created classes for those needs. We're also creating a STEAM lab in Monroe. So with the redesign, we created space for our STEAM lab, and we got a grant to actually put technology inside of it. So we've got about $62,000 to spend, and we're working on that right now and hope to have that operational before the end of this fiscal year. We also do drop-in tech sessions. So if you want to bring any device that you have, we will help you with it and bring it in during, we do it all 4 locations at certain times. A lot of the times we'll get people bringing in their phones or their tablets. They want to download an ebook, but then they also want to know how to download just basic apps. So again, where else can you go to get that free personalized service? And we'll figure it out with you if we don't know how to use your particular device. And like I said, a lot of what we do is help people find jobs. They'll use our computers to search for jobs, fill out job applications, because you can't just go to McDonald's anymore and turn in a paper application. If you're going to work at McDonald's, work at a gas station, any of those places, you have to fill out an application online, which forces you to have an email address and which forces you to use the internet. And a lot of those people don't always have those same skill sets. So we do one-on-one job help, so you can get 30 minutes of an individualized session with one of our reference staff, and they will help you write a resume if need be. We have a lot of software that basically you fill out your information and it dumps out a resume for you so you don't have to format anything. Or we'll help you fill out an online application and walk you through that process. Sometimes that's a little overwhelming for them when they don't understand how to create a username, a password, how to create an email, and how to walk yourself through actually submitting. So we'll help them do all of that. And it's always rewarding when you actually have somebody come back and say, thank you for your help, I've actually gotten a job and I'm gainfully employed. So we have a lot of success stories like that. And another big business for us is community engagement. One of our programs that we do is provide books to homebound patrons. So those that can't get out and come to the library, we bring them materials. We've got about 80 of those folks that we serve, and we'll visit them in their own residence or we'll visit them in a nursing home. And there's 2 ladies that are responsible for overseeing that, and there's 80 patrons that they visit once a month, which means 80 patrons have to have books picked for them. So they have a whole team of volunteers that help them manage that program. So they go, they pull the books for them based again off of their reading preferences, and then they deliver those books once a month and then pick up the ones that they had brought before. We also do a lot of genealogy and local history, and that's big business for us too. We basically complement what they have at the historic courthouse, but you sometimes have different things, and oftentimes if you're searching for something locally, it's good to check both places. We don't all have the same stuff. And social media is also important to us too. We are on Facebook, we use Instagram, we don't use Twitter as much, but those are the biggest platforms for us that we use, and it's another way for us to connect with our patrons. So we can Facebook Live Storytime, you can watch it from home, or you can Facebook Live one of our programs, and you can participate that way even if you can't get to the library. And last but not least is our summer reading program, and that Libraries Rock is the theme for this upcoming summer's reading program, and we do that for all ages, for children and adults. So everybody can participate over the summer, and we incentivize reading for the children, and when they read so many hours, then they get to come buy a book with their book bucks from our store, and so we're just basically rewarding those kids to make sure the summer slide doesn't happen. And in addition to helping keeping the summer slide from happening, we also cater to the nonprofits. So we have something called the Foundation Center where nonprofits can come in and use our database to find funding. So this basically is access to all of the foundations out there that exist. What are the rules for getting money? When are the applications due? And how frequently do they award? What do they award? That kind of thing. So that all lives in the Foundation Center. We also have a pretty strong volunteer program. The biggest group of folks that we see volunteering are teens. It's a lot to fulfill community service hours, especially during some kind of honor society. And we do a lot of that over the summer. So we have a pretty rigorous teen volunteer program. It's pretty selective because we have such a large number of kids wanting to volunteer with us. And then we in turn will write them letters of recommendation or fill out whatever it is that they need from us so that they're actually getting real world experience. And we make a lot of partnerships. So one of the things that we do is there's a knitting group that meets at the library, and they meet, talk about books, and they meet once a month in our meeting room. But then they're supporting the actual Tangles Knitting on Main, a small local business as a result, because that's where they all go to share and get new yarn. So we're impacting not just individuals, but also businesses. And last but not least, we have meeting spaces. So a lot of people use our meeting rooms and our study rooms and all of our facilities. And here's just this quick list of who we've partnered with and connected with. It's not comprehensive by any means, but there's a lot of interesting agencies. The one I like is the DMV. They come to the Marshville Library once a month on a Monday, and they bring a mobile DMV Lab with them. So you basically can renew your driver's license, take a driver's test, do everything that you could do at a regular DMV office inside the Marshville Library. And it's because there isn't a DMV close to there. You have to go all the way into Anson County, you have to come all the way into Monroe. And that's been a very popular service too. I'd much rather go to the library than actually go to the DMV and have to sit and wait. And here's just some pictures of all the different programs that we've offered. We do a lot with the other community service agencies. So we have Crystal up there with 4-H doing a walk around the Marshville Library, and then they made some trail mix. We have Seth from the parks teaching the kids about birds and other things that you can find out in the wild. And then there was Haley came and the llama picture up at the top. They had a stuffed animal sleepover, and then Haley came and made breakfast for the kids with their stuffed animals the next morning. And so we do a lot of stuff. We have a lot of fun, and we have a lot to offer all ages, and it's not just always about books. Have any questions? All right, I'll turn it over to Jim with Parks and Rec.
All right, guys, somehow Parks and Rec drew the short straw. I get to go fourth in this whole thing, so I'm going to call myself we're batting cleanup today. We'll start out with our mission and vision statement. And one thing that I know, like a lot of my friends that I deal with, whenever they hear that I'm in Parks and Rec, they start talking about immediately your sports, your baseball, your basketball, your football, your soccer. Union County Parks and Rec is a lot more than just that. We provide facilities for those particular things. However, what our mission and vision statement that we redid last year during the strategic workforce planning initiative, we took time to redo ours. And what we're looking for here is to bring across the quality of life, your healthy living, and then giving recreational and programming opportunities to all citizens for Union County. Our organizational chart starting with the county manager all the way down to our ranger staff. We have a staff of 18 full-time staff members, including myself, along with 29 seasonal staff that actually help run Cane Creek Park mostly during the summer for us. So just a quick little tidbit on our budget. As you've heard before already, the community service budget is a little over $10 million. What we get to operate with is $2.2 million. This is a good number for us to look at right here. If you take out our personnel and labor cost, we have an operating budget of around $640,000. So you can see $640,000, what we're bringing in total revenue is actually more than what you guys are giving us to operate the 3 facilities that we have right now. That revenue is generated by our campground, whether it's campground rentals. It could be field rentals over Jesse Helms and Fred Kirby, and it could also be any of our field rentals, Jesse Helms, Fred Kirby, and then our shelter rentals at Cane Creek Park as well. So that's a good number for us. 26.98 FTEs, again, that's across the whole division for all 3 facilities. The 125 fund that was put in probably 3 or 4 years ago, that's huge for us. I know the library's used it. I'm not for sure about Co-op and Soil and Water. But this 125 has helped us with our roofing projects that we've been doing over the last couple of years. It's put in an HVAC unit. We've had a couple of gates installed down at Cane Creek Park. We've had a new gate installed down at Jesse Helms Park over the Ag Center at the bridge. So there's been numerous things that we've done, and plus our equipment that we get to purchase from there as well. That fund is huge for us as Parks and Recreation. This particular year, we're actually 100% county funded. The last time that we actually applied for and received a grant from PART, the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, was back in 08-09, which was obviously during that really downturn for everyone. So we were actually awarded a grant at that time. We actually had to turn the monies back in, and since then, we really haven't had any new facilities to put in for grant funding. Jeff and I attended the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund meeting, I think 2 years ago or 2 years ago. And what we've determined is what they're looking for is people that really don't have any facilities. They're looking for those people that need something besides renovations or additions to what they already have. So unfortunately for us right now with the Part F or LWCF funding, we're really not in line for that at this time. So I'm taking this as you guys know nothing at this point. Not being able to do a promise. But Cane Creek Park, 1,050 acres, opened in '78. For those of you that have been there, you know there's a 350-acre lake right in the middle. We call our day use area on one side, campground on the other. We kind of talk a little bit about the amenities that are here. One of the new things that we've added this year down at Cane Creek on the day use area is our disc golf course, which has been received very well at this point. And then, of course, we've got our cabins, RV camping, tent camping, and cabins on the other side. Programming special events I'm going to talk about just a little bit later. Jesse Helms Park, the developed section, we've got about 250 acres there. The developed section right now is currently just a 6-field soccer complex with a concession stand, playground, and walking trails. And then we do have a shelter there as well. The multi-purpose fields at Jesse Helms Park have actually been started, they're being more utilized as of late. We currently have an existing adult soccer league that's utilizing it every single Sunday. Some of our local athletic associations are starting to use Jesse Helms Park as well, which is really good for us. The undeveloped section, which is the section behind the Ag Center, plus the piece of property that's across Summerlin Dairy Road from the soccer complex, those are both our undeveloped sections at this point. So what we're waiting on for those two sections is to determine if this pavilion comes in, which piece of property are we going to use. And then at that point, we can put in for development for Jesse Helms Park, depending on which piece of property we're going to use. Development consisting of playgrounds, shelters, trails, that type of thing. And Fred Kirby Park, one multi-purpose field, playground, walking trails, gazebos. And when I talk about multi-purpose fields, both at Fred Kirby and Jesse Helms, please keep in mind that could be anything from soccer, football, lacrosse, ultimate frisbee. And when I say soccer, that's down to your mini mites all the way up to your 17, 18-year-olds. And then we've actually had some adult football at Fred Kirby as well. Our staff, which obviously anybody that's in the room knows you can't do it without. David Pascal, who's in the room today, is our park operations manager. Jared Steele, park superintendent for all 3 facilities. Nick Coffey is an assistant park superintendent for all 3 facilities. Kevin Nussbaum is our maintenance supervisor. Seth Bihanich, new outdoor recreation coordinator, which I'll take the opportunity to say thank you for funding his position. That's something that we've been needing for a long time, which we'll go over a little bit longer in the presentation. And then Lindsay Fowler is our administrative assistant. Staff certifications. The Certified Parks and Recreation Professional Certification, one thing that Jeff has really been pushing since he's been here is professional growth for our staff, which is really cool. The Certified Parks and Recreation Professional, I'm actually the only one that's actually required for my job. However, we have 3 other staff members that have taken the time and the opportunity to go out, do the study, take the exam, and get this Certified Parks and Recreation Professional certification. Our Certified Playground Safety Inspector, the rest of these that I'll talk about are actually part of job requirements for these guys. So the Certified Playground Safety Inspector, we actually get calls for our guys. We have 4 on staff right now. We actually get calls from municipalities wanting to know if we have a CPSI on staff because they want to pay them to come check out their playground equipment. Keith Richards, no, we're not going to do that because that's a risk management involved, obviously. But what that allows for us to do is we have 4 in-house that can check out any piece of playground equipment we have at any of the 3 facilities. Checking for any kind of safety issues, obviously hazard maintenance, so we're watching things before it actually happens. So it's really good to have those. Obviously you can do visual inspections all day long, but these guys actually have forms that they can fill out, so we've got written documentation as well. The other certifications that our staff members currently hold, subsurface and seawell and seed distribution, which is for our water and septic system that we have down at Cane Creek Park and Jesse Helms, We also have pesticide operators. Obviously, with that much acreage in parks, we have to apply pesticides. And David, am I forgetting anything? Okay. So in 2015, Parks and Recreation staff underwent this huge, if I didn't mention huge, undertaking for the CAPRA accreditation for Parks and Recreation agencies. There's really just two numbers I really want to point out to you guys is the 166 and the 11. Out of all the Parks and Recreation agencies across the nation, there's only 166 that attained this accreditation. 11 in the state of North Carolina. And what this is 154 standards that we as a department had to meet. Anything from HR to administration, land development, planning, safety, risk management, programming, anything that really pertains to what we do, we had to meet those standards. And those are, as it says here, national standards. What's helped us with it is it now gives us something to really go by. So if we want to put something, if we want to institute something new, we can actually go back to what we're supposed to be doing for this CAPRA accreditation, and we make sure we're doing it right. It's also really cool because all of our staff members, this is what we do. This is what we follow. We don't go outside that box. We don't go outside that box unless we have to. So this was a really big deal for us to get that. We will have to do a renewal in 2020. You have to do a renewal every 5 years, which they come back in. And it's the whole thing again. They go through all of their standards one more time. So one of the things that we're working towards is the 13 standards out of the 154 that we did not meet. We're actually trying to get some information together, so hopefully we'll meet some of those standards whenever they come back. So we put together a map for you guys, kind of wanted to illustrate, I guess, the lack of Union County owned park facilities. So we have 3. Obviously, Cane Creek, Jesse Helms, Fred Kirby. On the left-hand side, these are 29 facilities within Union County that are basically your outdoor parks. So we're not talking about recreation centers. We're not talking about the aquatic center. We're not talking about community centers. We're not talking about the Ellen Fitzgerald Center. These are your outdoor facilities. And then you'll see the statistics on the right-hand side. And these came from NRPA. The national average is 1 park for every 2,266 residents. And then for Union County, per our population that we have, we're averaging 1 park for every 8,400 residents right now. Again, that's just what we own. That's not taking into account all of the other the park municipalities we have. So outdoor recreation. Again, thank you for the position. Seth is doing a wonderful job for us. This particular position was, this is one position we gave back in 08-09 during the RIF. So in 2014, I think there were 6 staff members that attended the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Association conference in Green. During that conference, between the 6 of us, we kind of decided we wanted to tinker with this outdoor recreation programming aspect. So with the staff that we had, which was really our administrative assistant, our park superintendents, assistant director, and of course our ranger staff, we started tinkering with programming. Very, very, very small because we just didn't have a lot of time to do it, which is why this position is so important for us because we have a person dedicated to programming and educational opportunities. Some of Seth's biggest programs that he has right now, he does field trips for Union County Public Schools, daycares, after schools, churches, homeschools, and then he's also started going into the senior citizens, assisted living centers, doing things for them. Field trips may consist of anything from a educational hike to a environmental exhibit, nature exhibit, to geocaching, to fishing 101, survival basics. And again, these are utilized by teachers to come down to Cane Creek Park and do that. So a big number for us here, which is again something that we could have never accomplished without the position, is 5,000 people were reached through all of this programming over the last year, which is a lot of people that's coming down and taking advantage of this program, which I think is pretty cool. A new initiative for us this year, we're going to be offering day camps. This will be the first time we've offered day camps since I believe it was 2007 was the last time we did that. So the day camp is going to be an 8-week session in June, July, and August. They'll all be in Cane Creek Park. And Seth, we actually received a couple of part-time day camp counselor positions this year, which is good. They'll be helping Seth with that. And then some of these pictures on the bottom just give you a little bit of an idea. We always do pontoon boat rides for people if they ask. Seth came up with the idea about the hidden rock that people are finding. They find this rock in Cane Creek, they bring it up the office, they take the picture. This was a pretty cool one here. Seth did a 14-mile hike with these people. What you see there with those 5 people, that's not all that started the 14-mile hike. That's what finished the 14-mile hike. The Halloween event that they had over the campground, and then our master gardeners came down and did a program for us as well. So one of the things that we're going to need to start moving forward with is trails and greenways. I was telling Jeff earlier, I was on Sardis Road over the weekend, and one of the satellite parking lots for McAlpine Greenway was on Sardis Road, and it was packed to the gill at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. You know, a lot of people utilizing that parking lot just to get access to the McAlpine Greenway. So just some quick facts about the Carolina Thread Trail: 15 counties in 2 states, 260 miles of walking trail, 175 miles of blue way. So then I wanted to give you some information on where we're at with Union County's Thread Trail, or part of the Thread Trail. 2011 master plan, which is that's the most recent one we have. And then there is a signed resolution of support by the Union County Board of Commissioners and 11 municipalities within Union County. 65 miles of proposed trail. Please notice that number, 5.2. There's a little over 3-mile stretch in Waxhaw. There's about 1.3 in Mineral Springs, and there's another mile or less at the Monroe Country Club. So if you can kind of envision in your mind, we've got a piece here, we've got a piece here, we've got a piece here, we've got no connectivity whatsoever at this point. The Union County Thread Trail, the map is showing that you're basically going to Cane Creek Park, Jesse Helms Park are connectors. That's ours. So for this Union County Thread Trail to come to fruition, we have to participate at some point because they have to come through our park. As an example, down at Jesse Helms Park, the connector piece through Jesse Helms from Preston Road to Summerlin Dairy Road, if we don't have that connector piece and the town of Wingate gets going on the Union County Thread Trail, they're going to be missing out on a connector as well. So just something to really keep in mind as we move forward. Greenways, trail development, and I think you'll see on this next slide, we need greenways. So the big thing that I like to talk about here is just it creates the transportation corridors, connectivity amongst the entire Union County, everything in Union County. And then it also gives you collaboration opportunities with other local municipalities, because obviously for us to go in and do connector pieces, we're going to have to sit down and talk with others to make this happen. Whether it's municipalities, landowners, business owners, whoever that may be. So I think those are some of the big ones. I think Jeff's going to get into a little bit more about the economic, social, and physical benefits of the greenways as well. Collaborations and partnerships for parks and recreation. One of the big ones that I'm personally most proud of, because they did not utilize our facility much at all up until about 3 years ago, is the Boy Scouts of America. They're actually doing their annual jamboree down at Cane Creek Park, which is a weekend over in the festival area. The Girl Scouts are actually coming down to Cane Creek Park 1 week in the summer to do their day camp, which is pretty cool for us. Any of the municipalities you see, Mineral Springs, Wesley Chapel, Waxhaw, City Monroe, and Stallings, that is part of the quarterly meetings that Jeff alluded to earlier, that we're sitting down and we're kind of talking together, collaborating, seeing who's doing what, and what we might need to work towards as a group. Some of the other ones that we have, government agencies, Union County Public Library, Union County Soil and Water, and the Union County Public School System. Beasley Media Group is one of the big ones for us. They actually helped us put on the Kids Fest 2017 this year at Cane Creek Park, which was a first-time event, but it was very successful. We probably had about 1,500 people show up for that. And actually, I'm not for sure how many county agencies we had involved in that particular event, but we're going to be doing it again this year. North Carolina Wildlife speaks for itself. That's Cane Creek Park. That's what they do for us. The one on the bottom right, Track Trails, Kids in Parks, we actually have we are the only track trail in Union County at this point. We just received that this year. And long story short, it is basically an educational trail for kids, parents, tree identification, plant identification, animal identification, flower identification, however you want to do it. So that's been a real big plus for us. I would like to go back to North Carolina Wildlife as well. They just, David, correct me if I'm wrong, second one in North Carolina? Educational fishing trail, which is really cool. Buoys out in the lake at Cane Creek Park, numbered 1 through 6, 8? 6. You can pick up a brochure at the office, and basically what it's telling you is that these numbered buoys, this is when you should fish there, this is what you should be catching, and this is what you should be using. So that's been pretty cool for us to have that as well. And both of those were at no cost to us, which is a really good thing. And, excuse me, Jimmy Johnson Foundation, that's just our annual triathlon that comes down the park. You guys have been kind enough to support closing down Cane Creek Park a little bit early whenever he does come down for that event, because it is during the week. Some of our current initiatives that we have going on right now, dock replacement at Cane Creek Park. I'm sure that you guys have seen over the last year and a half, notices come out where we've had to close Cane Creek Park due to high water. Long story short, we're putting in offloading dock systems. We only have one more left, and they should be done with it, I think, on the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. And that will take care of the closures at Cane Creek Park as far as the lake goes. The Wi-Fi install for Cane Creek Park Campground has been something that we've been working towards for probably 2 or 3 years now. The bid is out right now. We're going through the proposals. The arcade renovation project at Cane Creek Park, we're taking the existing arcade, turning that into a multi-purpose facility, whether it be for team building activities for county agencies, outside agencies, also educational opportunities for Seth to utilize if he needs to, and then birthday parties, weddings, that type of thing. Improving ADA accessibility is huge for us. Going back to CAPRA, that is one of the things that we did not meet, unfortunately. So we're trying to bite off little small chunks as we go, because doing the ADA accessibility at Cane Creek Park, Jesse Helms Park, and Freddie Kirby Park is a big venture for us. And then finally, the Jesse Helms Park passive area development, which I think Jeff is going to get into in a few minutes. Any questions for me before I step down? Yes, sir.
What's our largest facility for rent for like an event park system?
Outside is going to be down at Cane Creek Park. It's going to be our festival area. Commissioner, if you're familiar with the amphitheater, that's the area that I'm referring to. There's 2 tiers.
What about indoor? Do we have any indoor?
Indoor facilities, no.
We
do not.
Okay.
We do not.
And then with that, you were talking about the certified playground safety inspector. If our municipalities need some help there, what could we maybe do, something with shared funding on a position if our risk manager doesn't want our employee to go do it? Maybe a shared funding with all the municipalities?
I don't know, I mean, that's something the board wants us to have discussions with our risk manager and look into. We certainly can, because my guess is a lot of the municipalities have probably limited staff and don't have anyone with those type of certifications.
Right, and it would be expensive for them to hire somebody just to do that, so.
And my guess is that's probably what they're having to do right now, is to hire someone.
I would not see a municipality hiring someone strictly for playground safety.
No, but bring in like a
consultant or something.
A vendor.
Sure. Yes. Like a lot of your playground manufacturers, they have CPSIs on staff, so they can come do that for you.
But if we could save them some money, I don't think that might be something we should possibly look at, just going to it. For is that like an urban forester, they go and work with municipalities in the county.
Jeff's about to jump out of his seat. Do you have something to say?
Now, one thing I will share with you about our certified playground inspectors is there is an organizational liability associated with, and I'm sure this is what our risk manager is concerned with, but not only the associational liability associated with it, but also personal liability associated with it as well. So if we have one of our park rangers that's certified and goes to a municipality and does a playground certification, and something happens, an incident takes place, and there's a lawsuit involved, that not only would Union County be pulled into that, but also that person individually. So there's always apprehension around people who have that certification. There are playground companies that will come in and do some complimentary inspections, but with regard to the way we handle things with written documentation on a regular basis, that's something you really need to have somebody on staff, or you need to purchase that. We could go into that, but there are some exposures associated with us doing inspections for, whether it be other municipalities, school systems that have playgrounds as well.
Did they have one?
I'm sorry, sir?
They have one for just the school system?
I'm not 100% sure. My assumption would be that one of their maintenance techs would have that certification somewhere, because they do have so many playgrounds. this is where I hand off.
Thank you. Well, I do appreciate our staff being here to give them an opportunity to be in front of you and share their passion for what they do. And what I'm going to do for you now is we're going to answer a couple of these last questions. Where are we going? That's kind of the direction that we're moving in. You've gotten a little bit of taste of that, I think, from the individual presentations that were made. And then we're going to go to that final question, which is, why does it matter? Why does all this information matter to us? So current future initiatives, we got some visual representations of some items that I'm going to share with you. I think Commissioner Simpson may recognize this visual. This is a artist rendering of the proposed 4-H pavilion project that we're working on the master planning process for. For those of you who've been around for a few years, you can see in that far upper right, that's the rendering that was the library to be back in 2007. And then we've got some other elements in here I'm going to share with you in just a second. I'm going to talk about two areas, one being facilities, the other being services and programs that we offer. You've heard a few of these facility ones being mentioned, our Southwest Regional Library that Nina mentioned. That's one we're really excited about and really apprehensive about all at the same time. As y'all know, site selection for that is very intense. A lot of people are curious about that, and as we bring our new architect and engineer on board, they will be tasked with providing us with options available. The library staff, along with the library board, will bring forward a recommendation, and then we'll also give you the other recommendations that are provided, but what they are recommending is the best site, and ultimately it's up to the Board of County Commissioners to make that determination as to where that library will go. But that is a huge project for us. We were very excited when the referendum passed. I think it also is going to take a lot of the load off of our Union West facility, which is really overwhelmed right now with the folks who are living on the western side of the county. That's their primary source, and our staff can't wait at Union West for this facility to be constructed as well. Modernization of the existing libraries, as Nina said, we underwent a major transformation in our Monroe facility with RFID, our inventory control system, as well as our self-checkout system that our patrons, I think, are starting to get a little excited about because they can get in and get out at their leisure. But doing that with our other facilities as well. So we bring all of our branches up to that modernization. 4-H Pavilion Complex, something we're working right now on our master planning of that site. We've got two locations, as Jim kind of alluded to in his presentation, one directly behind the Ag Center, the other one off of Summerlin Dairy Road. And we're going through the process now of evaluating the pros and cons of each one of those, and hopefully establishing some cost estimates associated with each one of them. Each one has pros and cons, but that's a project we're really excited about on a number of different levels, specifically for 4-H, but also for some of the other programs that go on or could go on with regard to cattle sales and recreation programming as well, just a lot of equine activities. So there's just a lot of things that can happen with that facility. Our Jesse Helm Park improvements that Jim mentioned, we're working right now. We've got funding for, I believe, picnic shelter pads. And what we've asked for in this coming year's budget is the shelters to go with the pads so that we can complete that part of the process. Also for a playground, small restroom facility, and we're going to be doing trail development. You know, you hear a lot about trails, but trails within the park itself to provide opportunities for people to get out and walk in natural environments. And then finally, our Cane Creek Park improvements. We've got a number of activities going on there. I think one of them is, and Jim, you can help me if I miss it, a group cabin that we placed in this year's budget. As Jim talked about, some of the camps that we want to put on, opportunities for us to do group camping, which is more of the bunk beds and the big cabin space instead of the little cabins that we have right now, to allow groups to come in and do overnight type activities or overnight camps that we can do down there. Or if y'all want to come down and do a retreat at the arcade facility and stay overnight, I don't know if you want to be in the same bunkhouse together, but that opportunity would provide for that. So we're looking at that in this year's budget. We're also looking at renovations to our camp store, which is receives an awful lot of use down there. Outdoor rec place where we can store our equipment. Seth has gotten very involved in paddling. We're getting involved in cycling, camping. We got to have somewhere to put that stuff. So some kind of storage structure where we can place all of those pieces of equipment at. So those are the things we're looking kind of in the near term and over the next year or two from a facility standpoint. Programs and services, I mentioned RFID and self-checkout. that is moving us into the future, which the future is now for libraries with regard to RFID and self-checkout systems. In our budget this year, we have, I think, $150,000 to put toward implementing RFID and self-checkout at our branch facilities as well, to make sure that the experience that the customer receives is consistent with what they receive at our Monroe facility. Customer engagement is a process that we're going through. We talk a lot about customer service and high-quality customer service and meeting the needs and the expectations of our residents, but customer engagement takes it to the next level, and our library really has been kind of at the forefront of that, where we're going out and trying to anticipate and engage our customers rather than waiting for them to come to us, to start doing more outreach and a little bit more of an active type of customer engagement. Our outdoor recreation program, as Jim mentioned, we've reached an awful lot of people in the first year that position has been available to us, and we anticipate we're going to be doing an awful lot more of that. And when I get to the why it's important, I'm going to bring that back up again and share with you. Our environmental education program, Chelsea in Salt Water has been extremely active in getting these STEM type programs out into the schools, trying to meet them where they are with regard to their educational requirements. Crystal in our 4-H program has done the same thing. So we are really working closely with our schools, especially in the science and technology arena, through whether it's Cooperative Extension, Parks and Recreation Libraries, or Soil and Water Conservation. They are all actively engaged with our school system to try to promote those environmental and science-related programs. Business automation, last year we received funding in our budget toward the implementation of an automated business system. We're really, really close to getting that on board. We've got one little piece of the pie that's missing right now with regard to our ability to accept credit cards and debit cards. But once that is complete, we are ready to bring that online. What that will allow us to do is we will be able to make all our transactions from an automated fashion. But it also, down the road, what it's going to allow us to do is for customers, the residents that live in Union County, can actually sign up for, whether it's a campsite at Cane Creek Park or a program in Cooperative Extension or a soil and water program, libraries for that matter, of scheduling their rental space of their rooms that they have available to the public. People will be able to go online and actually make those transactions at their leisure. So they don't have to come to the front counter and make that transaction. They can do it at the comfort of their own home. So that's where we're moving to, again, to provide that level of customer service. It also provides us with the opportunity to provide much more in the way of reporting, management tools where we can collect data. A lot of times right now what we're doing is we're taking our gut reaction, we're making decisions based on what our perception is. What we want to do is be able to back that up with data, so we can share those reports with you. So when we start talking about how many people use the campground or how many people were involved in this, we can give you those numbers exactly for what that represents. The cost associated with offering those type of services, we'll be able to share that type of information with you. Wayfinding signage is a process that we just got into this past year, and essentially what we're doing is working with a firm right now to start a process to provide some uniformity to our wayfinding in the county. We've got Waxhaw, Indian Trail have already started wayfinding in their communities. Monroe is in the process of doing wayfinding. What we found when we met with our planning department and planners from around the county is that Parks and Recreation has been the centerpiece for wayfinding in Union County. What we also found out is that some of our wayfinding that's in Union County is actually directing people out of Union County. So Indian Trail is looking at their wayfinding signage now and realizing that they're pointing people to maybe some of the parks that are in Mecklenburg County and places, and they're looking at redoing there. So what we're hoping to do is provide some uniformity so that we go through this process and we can provide the technical specs and the information associated with a wayfinding program, provide that to the municipalities. And as Jim alluded to, our Parks and Recreation program meets quarterly with all of the Parks and Recreation agencies in Union County to get them to participate so that we've got some uniformity and that our residents and our guests, when they come into Union County, there's not a patchwork of signage. There's nothing worse than sign clutter and those kind of things. So we're really focused on that as an area we think is important for our residents as well as our guests that come into our county. Also, as was mentioned earlier, restoring hours of operation for parks. I think all of the service areas within Union County are still trying to recover from the recession that took place in 2008, 2009. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure that we're available when the public needs us. So that's looking at hours of operation extended on the weekends back to where they were, hours of operation even in the evenings, for instance, at the library. Right now we close, I believe, at 7 o'clock, Nina, trying to get those hours, because when people get off work, giving them opportunity to be able to get to the library, or get to a facility to make that transaction. In Parks and Recreation, we were always taught we work when other people play. So we need to be there when the public needs us to be there to provide those services. We've got focused partnerships. In each one of the presentations, you've noticed we've talked about partnerships. Partnerships are critical for us. Funding, nobody ever has enough funding. So trying to find efficiencies with people who have like focuses with the programs that we offer. And this upcoming year, as well as this year, we've got some really focused partnerships working on our LEAD program. Library Educators as Partners program is one that was initiated through our library, working with our school system to try to help the school system with some of their literacy issues, especially related to those in targeted schools, some of the low socioeconomic areas in our county, to get children up to grade level reading by third grade, right? Third grade. Because they found that if a child is not up to grade level reading by third grade, then educational attainment is impacted, and just their whole educational process is impacted. So the libraries have been a key player with the school system with that program, as well as several other programs, as Nina mentioned, the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, and several others that our library is really working diligently with our school system on. Our municipal Parks and Recreation meeting, pulling those folks together, really important to make sure we're not duplicating services. You know, if another area is working on, for instance, active recreation, athletics and sports, what you'll see is we're not putting on, even though we support, we're not running athletic associations and athletic programs. The municipalities are doing that. So we're focused more on outdoor recreation and passive recreation type areas. I put up here other departments within the county, because oftentimes we forget the opportunities we have closest to home. And when you look at some of the presentation material that you've been provided, our health department, and working with our health department on some of those public health issues, and I'm going to bring that up in just a second, working with parks, and working with our farmers market, and bringing grants and other things to the forefront, let us know what's out there. Our planning department, as we look towards siding of the new library, we're going to be working with our planning department to make sure that the recommendations that are provided don't cause problems and they fit into our zoning models that we have. Stormwater, one of the things that until I got into the soil and water program, the level of involvement that we have with stormwater here in Union County, water quality in general, that stormwater is involved. I think Alan mentioned the fact that we are working with Brian Hawkins and his team of one to work on stormwater issues, which is becoming more and more of an issue in Union County. But that is an area that we're going to be focusing a lot more attention on. Resource management and the work that they do, again, with soil and water. Alan and his staff of Chelsea have been working with them on some ideas and programs, educational programs in terms of water quality and those type of issues. Environmental health, I think as Richard mentioned, Haley Napier, our FCS agent at Cooperative Extension, has been working very closely with our public health, our environmental health folks on food safety. One of the main reasons why when we refilled that position, we were looking for someone who had a lot of experience with food safety issues, not only trying to get around and support some of the training that's offered to our restaurant industry that environmental health already offers, but also working with nonprofits and other groups that don't receive that training, but they feed a lot of people, whether it's a church group or a fire station or any of those type of organizations. They need that training as well because they can affect a large number of people just as much as a restaurant can. So we're doing a lot of work with them. Our Union County Arts Council, this is something that I blame Michelle Lancaster for. She got us connected with them, but I think it's been a great partnership. Working on a program right now using arts as a media for literacy. We've got a quilt program where, I forgot, Nina, if you can help me out on the grades that they're working on. I think it's third graders or fourth graders in several Union County schools, and they are writing letters to their favorite author, asking them to sign a patch of a quilt and send it back to them. And then we've engaged through our FCS agent our quilting group, who's going to take all those patches that are signed by the author as well as the student as well, and putting those patches together in a quilt that can be displayed at the school. So as a way to try to create interest, and they target especially those low-income schools to try to create interest for kids, make a personal connection with an author, and encourage them to continue in their reading. So another connection with our school system, which we think is extremely important for us. So why it matters? This is why we think it matters. When we work together, Cooperative Extension has an impact on economic development. I think Richard shared that. On public health, whether it's the farmer's market or what Haley is doing. Our library, certainly with literacy, with information access that you've heard from Nina, and the things that we're doing working with people on understanding how to use the digital items that we are forced to use. Soil and water, the stormwater management assistance, environmental education that Chelsea provides, parks and recreation. From a public health perspective, I'm going to share a little bit of that with you, as well as economic development and how each of these groups meet key community issues that we deal with. We don't think about on the surface, but they really do. From a park standpoint, why are parks a good investment? Why do we want to put money in it? Real property values are positively affected. I'm going to share a slide, some information with you to that point. Our municipal county revenues are increased, affluent retirees are attracted to this area. As you all know, we've got a lot of age-targeted and age-restricted developments that are looking at Union County. This is an area that people want to retire to. They want to come and they want to stay. Knowledge workers and talent are attracted. We look at economic development, the type of economic development that we want to attract. Quality of life issues, which parks is part of that equation. Those high industries, the research and development folks, the white collar, those type industries are looking for where they want to locate, and they want to locate places that are attractive, that have a sense of place, that have a high quality of life, and this is an important part of that. And also, home buyers are attracted to purchase homes in places where there are parks. People want to be near that asset, and I'm going to share a little bit about that. Increased property values. One of my favorite professors, if there is a favorite professor when we go to college, John Crompton, he's actually at Texas A&M University, is the leading authority on economic impact of parks in the United States. And he has a little statement here. I'm not going to read it. I'm really going to focus on the last sentence. It says that increments of enhanced value attributed to a park were used to fund early parks, just as such increments are used to fund golf courses and community golf developments in contemporary U.S. society. When a developer builds a golf course community, there are a couple of reasons they do that. Number one is that asset increases the value of that property. I don't know if y'all know of any golf community where the value of the land is less than the property outside of the golf community. So they do that as a way to increase the property value. The other reason they do that is with all those holes that go in and out and you can put houses around, that creates what's called edge. So that's developable edge. So they can get more money. They can spend $3 to $4 million on that golf course, which was a lot more popular years ago than it is now because the golf course industry is kind of decreasing. But they can spend $3 or $4 million to build that golf course, but the property value increase associated with that asset is greater than the cost of building the golf course itself. When in reality, less than 30% of the people who live in golf course communities actually play golf. And there's a reason they're there, it's because of that asset. Parks serve a very similar purpose. So to understand that when you build a park, and specifically for passive parks, when you build